food prices are going up, not so much with supply and demand, but a devaluation of the currency because these commodities are based on dollars.
But also it's speculation.
And speculation.
Now, here's a separate question I'd like a short answer. Why couldn't we just do the following? Ban trading in commodities essential to life: water, oil, gas, and food. Ban trading in currencies which adversely affect the people who have money in those currencies, like George Soros plays currencies and caused an enormous amount of human suffering in Russia, in Mexico, and in East Timor in the Middle East, or in the South Pacific. And why couldn't we just do that and then ban trading in all derivatives and credit default swaps to at least stop the type of reckless capitalism that we now see?
Because the Wall Street gang, the global Wall Street gang, is running the world. How do you tell an addict to stop? How do you tell a money junkie they've had enough? And it's policy. That's all it is. Wall Street is running Washington. The greedy pigs are in control, and they'll make money any way they can, and that's their gambling high.
Okay, well, I gave you a solution. You told me the answer why we won't have the solution. I just needed to hear you say that. Now, the next area is let's say you're an average person. You're working. You may be a professional, lawyer, accountant. I see unemployment across the board in all these areas. You may have a college degree. You may have worked for 20 years. But today you are challenged. You cannot afford your mortgage. You cannot afford a standard of living. You're underwater. You've got a lot of credit card debt, and everything you're doing is just paying interest. You're not even paying down the principal, and you can pay interest indefinitely at 2,000-3,000% cumulative interest over a period of time, especially on debit cards. Now, what do you see happening for these? Because if you add up all the unemployed, underemployed, working middle class, and middle class who are at, above, or below the poverty level, you have 235 million Americans who are adversely affected. What is likely to become of them over the next 1 to 5 years?
The quality of life, the standard of living will continue to decline until drastic measures are taken to reverse the course. And the biggest one is right now that could really start changing things is to end these wars, close the bases, and repatriate the trillions of dollars that's going to defense and defense-related spending. The money has to go back into rebuilding America from the infrastructure up and from government down. As things are going now, it's just going to become continually worse for them. The numbers are there. We're seeing it, as I mentioned, when you look at corporate profits and see how the corporate profits are going up. They're taking it out of the pockets of the everyday person. So it's going to be a terrible, terrible future for a lot of people. And we're going into an economic winter, the likes of which we've never seen before.
Gerald, to put this in perspective, last week we talked about the largest single profits in American business history. And over $1 trillion. I think it was $1.3 billion. At the same time, while they were showing that this is why Wall Street prices should be at about 14,000 instead of right at around 11,000, and now they're all talking this morning about how it's going to bump up to those higher amounts. As you said, that's because corporations are lowering the wages, reducing benefits, and cutting inventory to the bone, or exporting a lot of this to other countries where they can get the labor a lot cheaper. All told, my analysis, which is a part of what I'm doing for this film, Poverty, Inc., shows that in the last 30 years, we've lost about 29 million American jobs. Not that they're all unemployed, but they had to seek other work because the jobs they had were downsized, so that those the hedge fund people and the equity partnerships could buy and download them. Now I'm saying that we don't talk at all in the media at all about what it means to be a person who is suffering. So they've been left out of the equation. We just keep looking at the happy side of the picture, not the sad side. I want you, in the time we have remaining, to give us your projection, your understanding of what it might be like to be an average middle-class person living in the suburbs, living in the rural area, and living in the urban area over the next 5 years?
Look for large increases of crime, number one, and particularly not only in the urban areas, but in those outpost places where you're going to start seeing gangs actually taking over small towns. It's going to happen. We're looking at declines in police forces are going to continue. And by the way, what happened with the police, just as a side note, is these have become the enforcers for the crime bosses. The police are impotent against fighting the real low-life crime gangs. They can't do anything to stop them. They're flourishing. That's one of the big growth industries. And they have the orders for the hands-off at the top criminals. You never see any of these clowns doing time. They get a slap on the wrist and a fine, and then they're say, "Oh, you can't do business in the securities business for the next 2 years." So the cops are going to keep breaking down the little people, us, more and more and more. Speeding tickets, whatever it might be, to keep revenues going. So we're turning into a fascist state. And I've been all over the media recently talking about the TSA issue, as you may know. And that's just an example. You see, first what they do, Gary, is they take our money from us. And it's just as the TSA and the humiliation that people are going through if they don't go through the scanners, the x-ray machines, it's another means of subjugation. So what people should realize, wherever they're living, is that the government is going to crack down on them more and more. To get taxes, they're going to sales tax. Gestapo is going to break every small business. The people are going to, when I mention about what's going on with the young people revolting, that's going to happen in the U.S. too. Because you take it again, these are young people's testosterone roaring and no future ahead, and they know the score, they're being robbed. So you're going to start seeing a revolution happen. But in the United States, the crackdown is going to be much harder than most other countries. As you may well know, what's the name of that place in Georgia where they train Latin
School of the Americas.
Excuse me?
School of the Americas.
And do you know what happened there last week?
Yeah.
What, they arrested all the protesters?
All of them, yes.
This is America?
Yeah.
Yeah. Heil Hitler.
Yeah, it's happening. I see our constitutional rights. What do you see as far as, and this is, again, a hypothetical situation. I'm interested in your opinion. We have nothing to base it upon except opinion. But what do you see the government doing to those who choose to engage in demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations, nonviolent demonstrations, and to join different organizations, whether it's an environmental organization or a human rights organization or a health organization or any other organization that opposes corporate policies or government policies?
Well, you're seeing it again. You saw it with WikiLeaks in the sense of, look at the government, how they're spying on their friends, the so-called diplomats. They're spying on us. Every keystroke that we make, they're following us. Just like we talked about with the School of the Americas. It was a peaceful demonstration. They even arrested the reporters from Russia TV. Could you imagine if it happened the other way around? And Americans were in Russia, and they were arrested and thrown in buses and thrown in jail 30-some-odd hours without being charged for anything? So no, it's happening right in front of our eyes. Again, what's going on with the humiliation at the airports? It's a subjugation of society.
Well, I have to fly because of all the research and filming I do, but I am now in the process of looking for a recreational vehicle, an inexpensive one, that I can then drive. As a matter of protest, I would never go through one of the scanners because I know that there's scientific evidence that it is harmful to the body and the skin. I dealt with that yesterday. From Stanford University, they had this. And also, I do not believe that a person should have the right to physically touch any part of your body and then get away with it. If anyone did that and who was not a government employee, they would be arrested for sexual misconduct. And so I believe that once the American public allows itself to accept one more indignation, then we have shown that we are incapable of responding. We have no protests in America against hunger, and yet 17 million children go to bed hungry. Poverty, We have 2/3 of the American population who are at, above, or below the poverty level as we speak, and it's going to get worse. Unemployment. There's no mass protest by any unions or by people on behalf of those who are seeking some form of gainful employment. There's no protests in America about all the 5 million homes that have been foreclosed. That's 20 million Americans, and the next 6 million homes that will be foreclosed in the next 2 years. There's no massive demonstrations or protests by the 17 million actively unemployed and another 20 million who are non-gainfully employed. There's no protests against the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, or Yemen, or any place else. So we have no protests. The only protests we've had have been small protests. And so what does it say about us, the American people, and our resolve to challenge where we're going?
We're beaten back. And look at the health of the nation. You wake up and you have some Pop-Tarts for breakfast, washed down with a can of Coke, a triple Baconator for lunch, with a big gulp. And then you pull yourself up to the all-you-can-eat buffet. Look at this nation, and then you're drugged out. Prozac, Lipitor, you name it, you're on it. So how could a country like that, with so many people so unhealthy, have any resolve to fight? So they're beaten back in many ways.
Well, it's only the youth who are going to fight back. The middle class will not fight back.
They won't, but we call it the 20% solution. And we believe that there are 20% from all the generations put together that could form a positive movement. But the biggest one that has to change are the liberals and the so-called progressives. The conservatives believe and the liberals lie. The conservatives believe they're righteous. They believe, let's bomb those Iranians and we'll destroy them, we'll nuke them. They actually believe that stupidity. The liberals, on the other hand, they see one lie coming in front of their face after another, and they make excuses for it. The sanctimonious liberals. How many of them supported that 501 that you talked about? That are going to put the small farmer out of business.
All of them who voted. Gerald, let us do this. We're running out of time. I only have 15 seconds. Come back so we can continue our conversation with part 2. Who's going to push back against the tyranny and fascism that is becoming America today? Are you on for that?
How long?
Let's say a full hour.
I love to, but I can't. I have other obligations.
Within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, I'd love that. Sure.
Okay, you will.
Oh, I thought you meant right away. Okay.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Gerald Celente coming back for a full hour on who will stand up for freedom and who is a part of the problem. Gerald Celente is my guest. I'm Gary Null. I want to thank you all for listening. Gerald's website is trendsjournal.com, trendsresearch.com, either one. Have a nice day, everyone, and stay tuned for our next program.